On a quiet evening that seemed no different from countless others, my life took an irreversible turn when he asked a question about my history. With unwavering candor, I responded, and in that moment, he chose to walk away forever. What started as a casual inquiry, the kind often thrown out in playful exchanges, unraveled the foundation of everything we had nurtured. That single moment turned a warm, effortless bond into a haunting memory that lingers still. The evening was meant to be flawless, filled with shared laughter and heartfelt tales. We sat bathed in the soft light of the living room, a bottle of wine resting between us, the atmosphere intimate and serene. The air felt inviting, perfect for hours of unguarded conversation, where secrets could spill freely and teasing felt like a warm embrace. I was completely at ease, cherishing his grin, the way he leaned in closer, his fingers brushing mine in fleeting, tender touches. For months, our connection had been vibrant, a spark that seemed unbreakable. Unbeknownst to me, he was moments away from posing a question that would fracture our delicate harmony. Leaning back, his eyes locked onto mine with a mischievous glint, he asked, "So how many people have you been with before?" I laughed at first, assuming it was a light-hearted jab. His tone was breezy, almost dismissive, as though the answer held no weight. But when I hesitated, he pressed harder, his voice taking on a sharper edge. "No, really, I want to know," he insisted. The subtle shift in his demeanor was impossible to miss. His curiosity had morphed into something heavier, almost confrontational. I paused, swirling my wine glass, debating whether to answer at all. My past was just that, behind me. I had made peace with it long ago, never measuring my worth by a number. Yet his gaze carried a challenge, urging me to be forthright. So I leaned forward and murmured, "You might not be ready for the truth." His pride flashed in his eyes, a quiet determination that he could handle whatever I said. "Go on, I can take it," he replied, his voice firm but tinged with a need to prove his resilience. He had no idea what he was opening the door to. I inhaled deeply, a nervous energy coursing through me. I wasn't ashamed, but I knew the truth could carry a bite. So I shared it. The room fell silent, the air heavy with tension. His face tightened, the playful smirk fading entirely. He blinked rapidly, as if struggling to process my words. His lips parted briefly, then pressed shut, and he gave a slight shake of his head. The wineglass in his hand trembled faintly. For a brief moment, I hoped he might laugh it off, let it go, and move on. Instead, he rose suddenly. No shouting, no accusations, no demands for explanation. Just a cold, piercing declaration. "I can't handle this." Stunned, I watched as he grabbed his coat. I thought it was a momentary lapse, that he'd step outside, gather his thoughts, and come back to talk. But the sharp sound of the door slamming behind him still echoes in my mind. That was the end. No calls, no texts, no goodbye. He vanished from my life, as if every moment we shared was rendered meaningless by a single number. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions. Anger came first. Anger that he'd asked a question he wasn't prepared to hear answered. Anger that something so trivial in the context of who I am could destroy everything we had built. Then came the grief. I replayed that night over and over, wondering if I should have sidestepped the truth, offered a softer, more acceptable number. But then a realization struck. Why should I have to? Why should I alter my reality to soothe someone else's unease? The cruel irony was that before that question, we were happy. We laughed, we kissed, we planned weekends together. He once told me he loved my authenticity, how real I was compared to others. Yet, when confronted with unfiltered honesty, he chose to walk away. It made me question whether he ever truly wanted my truth, or if he only wanted a version of me that fit his expectations. The silence between us stretched into a permanent chasm. Weeks turned into months, and I never heard from him again. Part of me hoped for a late-night message, perhaps after a few drinks, asking to reconnect. But it never arrived. He had made his choice, and in a way, I had made mine by standing firm in my truth. Looking back, I see that night as a pivotal moment. It left me wounded, raw, as if honesty itself was a punishable offense. Yet it also brought clarity. If someone cannot embrace your past, they have no place in your present or your future. I could have lied, softened the truth, or deflected with a joke. But that wouldn't have been me. And if he couldn't stay because of my honesty, perhaps he was never meant to stay at all. I often find myself wondering what went through his mind after he left. Did he regret his decision? Did he tell friends about it, casting it as some principled stand? Or did he sit in his car, staring at the dashboard, realizing he'd discarded something meaningful over something that no longer defined me? I'll never know, and perhaps I don't need to. What I've come to understand is that truth carries a heavy weight. It can push people away, but it also protects you from those too fragile to accept you fully. That night, when he asked about my past, I gave him my truth. He chose to walk away. But in his absence, I discovered a deeper truth. Sometimes, someone's departure is the clarity you needed. My past may hold numbers, but my future is limitless. If he couldn't see beyond a figure, his exit wasn't a loss, it was a liberation. He asked about my history, I answered with honesty, and he left forever. In that moment, I realized some people don't deserve your truth, because the right person won't even feel the need to ask.